6:30. Welcome to our work session for Monday, August 10th of 2020. I'm going to go ahead and get started with our committee/department reports, starting with Planning and Development, Chairwoman Lisa Newberry.
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Committee met earlier tonight to discuss the moratorium on the multifamily residential zoning, specifically the RM8. And we discussed that in response to the citizens and the concerns about slowing down the growth and the safety concerns with traffic. For those two reasons, we mainly want to those two main reasons we want to make the recommendation that we make the RM8 zoning inactive. And I'll let Robin, if you wouldn't mind chiming in with all the stats and the reasons why it's okay with the FHA.
Mm-hmm. So we discussed in the committee meeting about the available. He's got your back over there. We discussed, basically Tim and Danny and I looked at all of the rental property in the city and looked at what is available for low-income individuals and or affordable housing, and talked about you cannot zone low-income housing out of the city. It's got to be available for those individuals that qualify to be able to live in the city and to have that opportunity. In examining the rental property, there are quite a few units that are set aside for those individuals that qualify. I was surprised by the number. Alexander Crossing, for instance, has 240 units. 168 of those are set aside specifically for lower income housing. There are also roughly 550 rental units that are anticipated to come online in the next, there are 3 projects that are proposed to be developed. We anticipate but cannot guarantee that those developments will also have a certain percentage set aside. We base that for lower income housing. We base that on the fact that the majority of the rental properties in the city have some set aside for lower income. It also is a trend in the metro area. It is a financial benefit to the owners of these rental properties because they get a tax benefit from the IRS if they have a certain amount that is set aside. Based on the numbers that we saw and the units that are coming online, and we talked about the fact that, the citizens have really been very adamant slowing development, particularly with these higher density rental properties as far as the traffic, because as I said to the committee, this is one area where we can talk about traffic, unlike zoning. And we've heard a lot of concerns about traffic over the last several months and the zoning applications and development issues that have come up before y'all. And also concerns with school overcrowding. And the citizens have been pretty adamant that they want to slow development. So those were all the reasons that were discussed by the committee in considering this.
Anyone have any discussion?
Now, are these, what does it take to be a lower housing? Or do they, government?
There are a couple of different terms that are used. Melanie was discussing a couple of those terms earlier, but, some people refer to it as Section 8. There is a calculation of if the rent should not be more than 30% of your income. That's pretty much the standard. So a lot of them will look at that. Does that answer your question?
What's the difference between the housing authority that's here and 168 that are in the Alexander Crossing?
That's a great question. The housing authority I was not aware of the Loganville Housing Authority before we started looking into this, but it is actually run by the state. It's called the Loganville Housing Authority because of the location of where those units are. There are 2 facilities, did we talk about, Tim? Those are different. They do receive federal funds, I would assume. And so they're under a little bit different qualifications and guidelines than, for instance, Alexander Crossing would be. The housing authority units are on a wait. They're completely full. Alexander Crossing, though, with the 168 units that they have out of their 240, they're not full. They are at a 96% occupancy, which is fairly high, which is why the committee discussed we need to keep an eye on this situation. If the council votes to that RMA goes inactive, that's not going to be the last time that we look at this, particularly as we look at these additional units that are going to come on board as they're developed. We need to keep an eye on the price points of those units. Do they have some set aside for lower income housing? And I suggested maybe in a year or so, we take another survey of the rental properties in Loganville and see what the occupancy versus vacancy rates are.
Do we have any one of these lower housing in subdivisions, like
No.
like Toller Shoals or Huntston Ridge?
Bill brought up that same question. That's not something we looked at, and I'm not sure that that's anything we could find out, quite frankly. Because if you're talking about a subdivision with homes in it, those are going to be owned by individuals. We don't know if they're renting them out or not, or to whom, or what the price point is.
So if we had a builder that wanted to come in and build townhomes for ownership, what could they do that? Is RM6 available still?
Yes, and RM4.
Okay, so they can still do it, just not at the density that is RM8.
Yes, that's correct. And again, the RM8 is your highest density multifamily classification right now. And when you're looking at possibly making that inactive, again, it goes to the concern about traffic, increased development, the amount of people and cars that are going to be concentrated on one piece of property. You know, again, looking at the concerns that have been put before the council over the last several months, those are kind of some of the things that we talked about. But to your point, RM6, RM4 will be available. Those are at a much lower density. So those concerns that have been articulated within the committee and by the public wouldn't be implicated as much within those two classifications.
Going back to the, what does the owner have to do to become a lower housing, and why 168 out of 240? Is there a number or?
Well, so I don't know the process that they go through to figure out how many they are going to set aside for that. Alexander Crossing specifically is operating under an IRS tax deduction that they want to be able to claim by offering these housing units. And so maybe they did a calculation as far as how much of a deduction they wanted to get. I don't know.
All right.
So Tim, if we approve making RM8 Thursday night inactive, then we don't have to extend the moratorium. Is that correct?
Yes, you would need to extend the
We
moratorium.
would need to.
Changing that verbiage in the ordinance has to go through the same process
Okay.
as a rezone or annexation would. It has to be advertised in the paper, has to go before the planning commission before it comes to the city council. So y'all would need to extend the moratorium for at least 60 days.
So it wouldn't come up for a vote then until October.
To the council, correct.
Right. Okay.
Did I understand you right in the committee meeting that RM16 is already made inactive and RM8 would mirror that?
Correct.
So that means that everything that's zoned RM8 is going to be subject to the RM8 classification that's already contained, all the regulations that apply to RM8. They're going to continue to be governed by that zoning classification. So it's just like R16. Those properties that are zoned R16 are still governed by that classification, even though it's inactive.
So do we know what pieces, so anything currently zoned RM8 is left alone grandfathered in under the old stuff? It's just any new applications for
We
zoning?
wouldn't receive any new applications for RM8
Because it
if
doesn't
it's
exist
inactive.
anymore,
Correct.
essentially.
Or it's inactive, it still exists,
It's
right?
inactive,
It's just
right.
inactive.
And it only
And-
still exists because of the guidelines for the property that's currently zoned RM8.
And if you look at the numbers, what's available today is less than 1,100, plus the 550 coming online. That's about roughly 1,700 available.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions?
Any questions from the audience about this? All right.
Okay. So I guess on Thursday night, we'll take a vote for that.
Right.
And then next on the Planning and Zoning Commission appointments, we've had much discussion this week about this, how we're going to do it, what we've done in the past, and I'm going to let Danny speak to this if you wouldn't mind.
Got a question? I thought we were going to delay it. No.
Well,
Oh, we are. Okay.
yeah.
It's always a bad sign when he walks over the podium.
It's going to be a minute.
Yeah.
In case I need help. So is this on? So there was much discussion about the opening. We had one of the Planning and Zoning Commission members resigned, so that opened up a spot. And then when we was dealing with that, we discovered that two of the current members' term expired in January. They were set to be renewed in February. That didn't happen. They didn't have a meeting in March, and then wonderful COVID hit us in April, and it's been, put on the back burner. So the discussion was there's technically 3 positions open now since their terms expired. They were filling 2-year terms for other board members that resigned. So the thought was we have several commissions. We have, like, the Development Authority is an authority. Each council member and the mayor gets 1 pick because there's 7 commissioners and there's 7 of elected officials. So we talked about it this morning. We talked about it last week. And I think I was talking with Chairwoman Lisa that maybe we want to look at making these positions appointed by each elected official. So each of y'all would get 1 person versus now what happens is majority votes on open spots. Well, that can create an issue if you can't come to an agreement on 1 single person, and then it makes that 1 person feel a negative response. So the question was asked, do we want to make this Planning and Zoning Commission like we do the Development Authority, and that means each of y'all would get 1 pick. So if that was y'all's wishes on Thursday, then the earliest it could come would be November, October. Yes, be October, because any change in the zoning would have to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission. They would even have to agree to that or make a recommendation, and then you would have to vote on it. We don't have time to do it for this month because the advertisement, the earliest we can do it is 15 days, and I think we're 10 days. So it would have to be next month. It would be in the Planning and Zoning, and then come back to you in October for approval. Or we can stick the way we've done it. The reason there's a couple of different ways is because in the past, sometimes it's been difficult to find citizens who want to serve on that. So typically, the current people would just do another term, and they would just say, well, nobody else comes, I'll do it. But this time we've had, I believe, 4 applicants put in for 1 position. But if we take the 2 current people that our terms are up, then it will make it 6 applicants for 3 positions. So the question is to the mayor and council, do you want to make the Planning and Zoning Commission follow similar to the Development Authority as far as how they are picked? And they would have to meet the same criteria as they do now. They have to live in the city for a year. They'd have to be sworn in from the mayor before they can hold office. It just makes it simpler if you make all your boards and commissions similar, I feel, as a staff. But that's would be my choice, would make it each of y'all would get 1 pick. And then I would imagine if you go that way, this time we would take the 3 that are vacant and make it the 3 Planning and Zoning council members. So Lisa, Bill, and Danny would get the first 3. And then next term, which will be January of 2022, the 4 other elected officials will pick the other 4, or they would reappoint. But it keeps us from going to having applicants fill out applications, come before the Planning and Zoning Committee, interview them, come before y'all, interview, where now the Development Authority is you just make your pick. If somebody resigns, give you an example, when Jeremy Dupree resigned as chairman, I came to Ann I said, your pick is resigned. Do you have someone else? She made it for the next council meeting, and it was done. It streamlines things for staff, but we work for y'all.
What do you think? I guess we'll go one by one. What do you think? Whole way or what Danny just?
I like the way Danny proposed it. I do.
Yeah, I think the current way is clunky and it's awkward, and I think this way is consistent with the other committees.
Okay. Okay.
And we, of course, this is a work session, so Ms. Janice, you're planning and zoning chair.
We have right now one of the best planning and zoning committees that we've ever had. And the only person that's actually leaving is Bruce, and the reason he's leaving is because he has some medical things that he has to take care of. And almost cried when he told me he was coming to sign because he's doing an excellent job in the city of Leavenworth. Always before the council has interviewed the people. When I went back on, this was on there too. We were working on it. We were not appointed by the council. We were voted on by the whole council. And I just kind of like that. I think, when you listen to people, when they tell you what they can do and kind of how training they are. We got two people on there now that was a city clerk in Mel, and she is fantastic. We have another lady that works in Gwinnett County in this kind of thing. And I just would hate to see either one of them leave out, but that's just what our committee goes down. They look at the coffee, they check everything out, and y'all are in charge. I'm not. I've spent a lot of years doing this and a lot of hours doing this. But really think about what you do because these people are just, they do an excellent job. That's all I have.
And they do, and do we have term limits on these? We, I mean, it's every 4 years, but they can go again 4 years and again 4 years.
Depending on how the current system, they have to be done by the majority of the council. If you go with this section, it would be up to that elected officials if they want to reappoint. The ethics committee, Christie, correct me if I'm wrong, ethics committee is picked by each one of y'all. There's one of those. The mayor gets 3. The development authority is done this way. And the library, I believe, is done by the mayor only, I believe. And then this is the only other.
And the housing.
The housing authority. So this is the 3 that really function is 2 does it one way, 1 does it separate. They're all 4-year terms, yes.
But there are no term limits.
Okay.
They
There's
can
no
be in
term
there
limits.
as much as they
They could keep,
want.
if you keep reappointing, then, but on the flip side of that, at any time the council as a majority wants to remove someone on any board or commission, they can at the majority at a at a council meeting. You can undo what you do, always.
Could we do a hybrid? I mean, I hear what Janice is saying. What if anybody that was up, it wasn't an automatic reappointment, that anybody that was up had to apply, including if they were incumbent, and that allows the council to choose the people they think is most qualified as a body, rather than it being a one-at-a-time pick?
That's the way it is now, yes.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
because
there's.
right now they reappoint, but it's not, like we have 4 people for 1 slot and 2 that want to be reappointed. So I would say we really have 3 slots with
For
4
6
new
people.
applicants and 2 incumbents, that if they want to reapply, we could pick from the 6 for the 3 slots, but it wasn't a shoe-in just for a
That's
reappointment.
correct, because it has to be picked by the majority of the council.
Right.
I mean, there's 6 applications. There could be 6 council members of 6 different picks.
True. But I mean, we've been successful all these years at it as well.
I don't know. I just kind of like having it consistent with the other
I agree with
committees.
that. I completely agree with that.
Okay. So are we still the new wave? I did the poll and it seems like most of the folks are.
Well, you can discuss it over the next couple of days and make a recommendation Thursday.
Think about it. Right? Because Janice brought up a good point too. the chairman. You brought up a good point.
It's not a big paid job, you know, it's really a time that you go out and you do the pressure on the town. And these people have been here a long time, they lived here a long time, and I see how much time they give to this. And I just think that's important, you know, one of the persons this morning, I think it's very important. Hey, I think you have to know, the whole group has to know somebody. I'm sorry, that's what I feel.
So you want to think about it and on Thursday, I guess, make a vote?
Yeah, because it would require you to make a change in the
Make a change.
ordinance, which will require a vote, so.
Thursday. Okay.
That's all I have, Mayor. Do you have anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Lisa Newberry. Coming down to Finance/Economic Development, Chairwoman Ann Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a number of things on my agenda. The first one is the engagement letter for the current audit, or the audit ending 6/30/2020. It's our standard group of folks. The letter is in here. What was the current audit cost? Because this cost is $35,500, not to exceed. Is it the same? It's static? Okay. So it's a static cost from last fiscal year to now. Their quality control, all the documents are in there. Does anybody have any questions about it? Would anybody object putting this on consent? Okay. Awesome. The second thing is there's a HUD statement in your packet. This is for the purchase of that small piece of property at Claude Brewer for the pump station. This is what our discussion was I can say that, right? In executive session last month. When we went into an executive session, it was about this matter. So we just need to actually do this publicly and put it to the vote that it's okay. Is that right? Can I consent this as well?
I'd like you to vote on that separately.
Okay, so any questions on that from anybody? We kind of talked about it last month. All right, so we'll put that not on consent and require a vote at the meeting. The next thing is the 2020 Autumn Heritage Festival. To open up for discussion, if we want to, in the current times, do we want to schedule this or not? Danny, I'm guessing you've got some things to talk about. So I'll turn it over to you.
The mayor and I don't know if Robbie, is Robbie here, Christie? Okay, Robbie may be speaking on this. Last concert we had a few people send colorful emails to us and voicemails about how not smart we are by having a concert, but it's a very fine edge of sword you're on. 50% want it, 50% don't. We try to do the best we can with what the information we have at the time. As you all know, COVID changes daily and weekly. So today, what's happening today may not be Saturday. But with that said, I told the mayor that I would like to put this on the agenda to talk about because I don't want he and I to get shot come October for having this. I'd rather 7 of us get shot or 8 of us get shot than 2 of us. But we're at a point where either we need to do this now or not do it because we're getting to a point of no return. We don't want to start accepting money and then have to refund. Historically, we don't refund for this. It's a rain or shine, but we're in new times. Who knows what October is going to be like? It could be a spike. It could be gone. I don't know. So Christy, Daniel has really been on me about it's hard to find sponsorships now. She doesn't want to have a festival, and it's going to be hard to social distance. It's going to be hard to have these tents 6 feet apart. There's a lot of concerns, but also I think a lot of people in here want to get back to normal. I know the mayor and I have been weekly, we talk about this, COVID. We just need some guidance from you as elected officials. You're the ones that make the policy, enforce those policies, and I would like to hear your thoughts on it and maybe some of the public. So if we all get in trouble, we all walk hand in hand.
I have a question. What kind of profit was the Autumn Festival last year?
It's about a break even, isn't it?
45 degrees and 40.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was, last year was awful. I mean, the three people in events, including Tim, they spend, 14, 15 hours leading up to this event working. It's, I would say it's not a profit. I would say it's a break even. It's like all of our concerts. We don't do it to make a profit. We do it for the citizens. But it has gotten bigger and bigger ever since Christy's been here. Her team does a phenomenal job at this. She's worried about doing it and it being so bad that people will remember that. And next year they won't come because it was so bad. But I told her, I said, Christy, nobody's going to remember you did a bad job. They're just going to remember COVID.
But are we
But-
going to try to do tents 6 feet apart?
Well,
Which
we
means-
would yes, we would have to. We talked about using the track, Main Street, but it's not conducive to,
Right.
being closed, being that festival feel. And then are people going to come?
Right.
The vendors last year, they set up in the pouring down rain. I know several of y'all were there.
It was miserable.
It was. And then only a handful of people stayed. And the people that came, they didn't make a lot of profit. But, I think we're in the same situation just with the virus this time.
Danny, do we know how many vendors have contacted us so far? To
Christie told me
participate.
about 5 or 6. 5.
Robbie?
And who has applied?
So for the YouTube, that was 3 locals and 2 arts and crafts? Okay. That way they can hear us.
Well,
The firework,
Go ahead.
the fireworks was last minute, and it came through. And,
It did.
That was a huge success. We had some rain, and then the band came. By the way, I've got a band already ready to roll for October.
Mhm.
They're ready. They said, let me know. So, I think, and I know Robbie's looking. They've contacted me this morning. We'll talk about it. But, I just think that fireworks was good. Our concert has been great. Yeah, we're going to get those complaints like we do, but the majority of it, right, Terry? I mean, wasn't the Swing Medallions great? And the A1A is coming, and they're great. And I think we're doing a good job doing the separating of the 6 feet.
Well,
I see how you've got the space to do that, the fireworks show, but I don't see how when we're all on Main Street, tent to tent to tent, all the way up and down, and you're walking up and down between the crowd. I don't think you can social distance on Main
well,
Street.
a little bit different.
The kids' zone's not coming, right?
No, I told Christy if we did do it, then I would, same thing with the fireworks. I didn't want the kids on because they're in there, and I don't think many parents would, allow their children to go in there with other children, even though school's in. But a little bit different between the concert and the festival is we're setting this up so therefore we would have to do the 6 foot. But when you're at a concert, we tell you because we don't know who's family, who's not family. But when we set up an event like festivals, we're going to have to put those tents 6 feet apart. Right now, we put them literally side by side. If it's y'all's direction, we'll make one heck of a event.
And Danny, I talked to Christy quite a bit about this week, and I told her one of the things that she could do
I'm
is
concerned.
send an email out to the vendors, because she's got email addresses of these vendors, and send it out and see what kind of response she gets back from them. I mean, they may not feel comfortable in doing it, and if we only have a handful that's going to participate, then it's a done deal not to do it. That was my suggestion. Now, whether anybody else agrees with that or not, I don't know, but I just think that at least it would give the vendors an opportunity to say, yes, I would like to, or no, I don't want to.
So
Because
how
they're
many,
the ones that do the.
how many do we have, like 300 vendors?
No, I want to say it was 178.
So how many would we have? Okay, so then if we're 6 feet apart, how many does that drop us down to?
Well, we would have to use the track if we had that many vendors, which,
Yeah.
we can. We can go around the track, so all of Main Street will be used, and the walking track, we'd have tents on that track, and people could walk.
I think people come to these events because everything is right there close.
Mhm.
And if you're having to spread it out that far, then the folks over there at the tent may not get touched or looked at. And I think that's going to turn off some vendors, going to turn off some visitors.
And that's one of Christy's concerns is spreading people out too.
Well, and if we don't have the kids zone, I mean, there's always so many kids that go to that. We lose that draw as well.
Hey, Robbie, you said 200, what's a good number for vendors to make it as fun and success? If signed up, 70, 80, half?
It's not a real break-even point because we have to decide on entertainment. Those costs vary as well, as far as the night concert as well as performing during the day. And then if we add track and field as a part of the festival, we have to look at additional costs, part of the police officer over there. Monitor that area as well. Too many variables, really. But the thing is, it's going to be a bus or everybody else can. So we got 300 members. Kind of hard to do.
I just want to remind that we had a car show, and it was, me and you were there, and it was huge success. It was awesome, but that's just. All right. Is this something we're just talking about? Do we have?
Well, I mean, I would like to, y'all tell us to go or not go because I don't need any more attention from.
Yeah. Well, I'm good. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You know,
you
I'm
and I are right.
What is Christie's, what does she,
She
I mean,
just-
not to put her on the spot, but what does she think?
Well, either we're going to do it or we're not going to do it, but we need to know now because, the only thing she has told me is she cannot find the sponsorship like she has in the past, but that's because, a lot of businesses
They're not here.
are not doing anything. If you're not fast food or Lowe's or Home Depot, but, we might have to come out of budget this a little bit to pay the staff, but, it's very minimal compared to the budget. It's not the budget can't handle it, but just a fact, it's going to be hard to find sponsorships. Even though for fireworks show, we got 100% of our
Right.
goal.
It was also the only game in town.
Yes.
So,
And you can see them from all over. You didn't have to go sit on the green space there to watch them.
Yeah, it just puts more pressure on us as a city if all the other cities are not doing it, and then here we are doing it. But, I don't do what other cities do or don't do. I do what y'all want to do. But just know that going forth. And
Do we know what the other cities are doing?
Gwinnett's not doing anything, I believe. I don't know about Walton County cities. I know Monroe's had their concert. I don't believe Social Circle's doing much, but don't quote me on that. Sharon, I believe she here. Sharon, do you know if you need Walton County? Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that come to this is here tonight, so maybe we ask them. I mean, Janice, would you come? Alma, Rita, would y'all come? One says yes, one says, see, it's at 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of, right. You could get 50 businesses that sell real estate and insurance, but no craft vendors. So, no, you cannot. That's right. Right. Right.
Amen. I like that. I love it. That's right. Anybody else want to, like I said, anybody else want to say anything about this? Good. Jen?
And it's bothered me because I've had people.
There's a microphone right there. Microphone next to you.
I've had people post on Facebook about Monroe, advising people not to shop in Monroe because they had the concert.
Right.
Which really concerned me that it can have a negative impact.
That Purple Rain concert was awesome. I was there Friday night. Man, what a crowd. And they even had boxes. for people to separate. And it was great. And I didn't hear any complaints. Prince, by the way, Prince, not Purple Rain, Prince. Prince was great. All right.
Well, and it's always it's a concern. You have to make that choice if you're going to go, but also we are making an attraction for people to go to come. I mean, you have schools that are open. We don't want to be Paulding County and hit the national news, and then they're closed. They closed today, right? It was today. So and then I know my daughter, her school, they decided to go digital, except it's one of these where they could either go to school or not, and then they get a message today. They've been in school since Thursday, and now they have a case in an elementary school. I had a neighbor that passed away last week from it, so I know it's real. I know it happens, and I live in a neighborhood where I'm under that. I'm at the bottom of that age group. In my neighborhood, Lisa knows it. And so it's a concern. I mean, and I understand what Janice is saying. It is your choice, but also it's people start coming in. It's not just putting in the booths at 6 foot apart. It's how do they get there? How do they walk down the street and in amongst other people? I mean, and if it's still like today, if we're still in the same mix of numbers, it's nice to see the state numbers flattening out slightly, watching that each week. I mean, the call last Thursday with Gwinnett was good to hear. But if it stays this way, I mean, I think for myself, my decision will be I don't want to go. I don't want to be in contact. I want to do what I can to protect myself because it's not me. It's, protection for my wife, my family. So I think we have to be real careful when we make that type of decision. I know we are, but, I have concerns.
And I have concerns about safety too, but it's mostly about, this is different than the fireworks show and the concert. If you're going to space it out, I don't think the crowd's really going to want to come and not knowing what kind of vendors are going to be there until we figure out how many applications and which ones can be here. So I don't think it's going to be as big of it won't be as big of an event. I don't think it's going to attract the people to come.
I tend to not, if we were a few months past the virus and there were less things that we didn't know anything about how it would happen, I'd say we might go for it. We know that the concerts and the fireworks were wins because we have the following, but given that the last Autumn Heritage Festival was down, we had some negative feedback about what was there. This seems to be an awful lot of investment by the city and the employees for a maybe if you weren't even dealing with COVID, but then you throw COVID in there and where we are, just not sure it's the right move at this point.
It's the biggest event that we plan.
Right.
And it takes the most
I mean, if we were on the back end of COVID and everybody was out and about, I'd be like, let's try it, but we're not there yet.
I don't think it's going to be the biggest event this year.
Yeah, I don't either.
You're not there yet? You're not? Okay.
As long as COVID doesn't stop us. And I asked Sadie if they were going to do, which their festival is really more kid related, sort of kid driven than crafty, but she said we're still thinking through how to do it, but hoping to have it. At this point, it doesn't seem like jumping houses and that kind of stuff will be a good idea, though.
Right. See the decisions I get to make every single day. Yeah.
I mean, could
So we
we
don't
still
have-
do a concert? I mean, could we still do something that day?
Sure.
Like, so just maybe not the tents with all the vendors and then maybe restructure it next year so we get a better mix of vendors, not all businesses. We'll have 30 business tents and 30, so we start changing that mix up a little bit, but still do something that people can attend, but maybe just not.
I believe the only negative we had last year was just the weather.
Yes.
It wasn't, because we do, Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, we do limit number of
Yes.
vendors as far as certain vendors. But, we try to have Christy does a really good job with Robbie and Gracie of who they think would be, bring people. So if we do cancel, then I would need approval from y'all to reimburse that money, because it is non-refundable as a current. So, which I'm sure y'all just know that I need that approval.
I did say with Robinson, how their Arts and Crafts Festival, Antique Festival, like 2 weeks ago. So if you want me to call them and ask them how they set up, what they did to comply with COVID, and what the turnout was, I'll be glad to
Just
call
let
and
Christy
let
know.
you know.
And try to have more information for you Thursday night. I just wanted y'all to think about this and kind of give us direction.
And I still think Christy could still send out emails and see what kind of response she gets.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got plenty of time to do that. So
Hasn't she done that? Yeah, she
did that today. Okay.
Okay, so we'll continue this discussion, get more information, and talk again on Thursday. All right, the next item, approval to allow filming of an independent movie at City Hall. Danny, I know you've got more information than I do.
Yes, so this is approval to allow filming of independent movie at City Hall. So this is a small, actually one guy, I believe, wants to do a movie at City Hall. He contacted us, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and Chris says, I need your approval on this. I said, well, what do you need my approval for? And first of all, I need to know what kind of movie it is, because I definitely don't want you to see City Hall on some questionable film and my kindergarten teacher come and whip me in front of all y'all. So I'm going to put the ball in y'all's court, and it's going to be, what kind of movie, Robbie? It's a after school scene. They want to use the bathroom. Excuse me. They want to use the upper hallway. I don't have an issue with it. We're not going to seek, we're not going to charge a young man, but, I'd maybe get our credit for City of Loganville and we'll put Mayor Ray Martinez in big letters. Put Danny Ford right below it in small letters, Vice Mayor. But I don't have an issue with it. We've let other production use our parking lot for filming locations in the city before. I just, it would be on the weekends, correct, Robbie?
I think so, yes.
So just mainly just letting somebody in our building after hours. We may have to have a few staff here, just let them in, but.
And Christie has asked them for their restricted liability.
Right, they'll have all that
They have insurance coverage.
in case someone gets hurt. But
So do you need, so I'm just guessing, do you need a consent, I guess,
I mean, I can make the decision. I just want you aware of it, and if you want to put it on consent for the minutes, you can put it on the consent. Robin, is there any issue with that? Okay.
is there any legal thing on this? No.
No, as long as, Christie answered the question
Oh, she
about the insurance. That's the only thing.
I'm not going to throw this one to you quite like I did the other one, so you can do the next bullet point.
So this is, thank you, amendment to the current budget. We received last week a email from the state of Georgia. It went to the mayor as the chief elected official of our CARES Act funding. We was awarded $154,231.99. Natalie fought very hard to get that extra 1 cent, but she lost because I didn't do it, but she lost. So this is our 30% draw from really from the federal government, but the state's overseeing it. We're in a little bit unique situation. In the entire state of Georgia, 5 governments got direct funding from the federal government: Gwinnett, Cobb, DeKalb, Fulton. And I forgot the other one. And everybody else gets it through their county. So each city has to apply to their counties to get funding, but Gwinnett does the funding itself. So we're going to get some funding from Gwinnett. We don't know what that number is. They have not released it. But on the Walton side, this is the number we get. So it has to be prorated for each county. Speaking with Gwinnett, they have a formula that they're going to use. They told us to send everything, and they would give us what they broke it down to be. So currently, we've spent about $69,000 from last fiscal year current to now on COVID items. We'll discuss that under my reports, but if you want to hit it now, we can. I know there's some discussion on wonderful social media about how we're wasting money and spending money. This is money that the federal government has given us. It's almost like a grant that we do not have to pay back. But we do have to spend it on certain items. So $69,902 is what we spent, and that covers anything from personal protective equipment for the staff, special pay that we gave our public safety, sick time for people that contacted COVID and had to be quarantined, cleaning products, and some other electronic equipment in order to do Zoom meetings. If you see that page, and you can see other things that we would probably ask for, more PPE. Some of the big items are the CBRN mask. It says CD, but it's supposed to be CBRN, which is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear mask, and also COVID. Those are $525 each, and not only can they use it for COVID, but after COVID, they will still be able to use them in case they have to use it to make some type of special rescue SWAT. They can still use them. Their mask with cartridge and a carrying case. This is something Assistant Chief Lowry got together for me last week. We're getting more solution for our sprayers. Chief Johnson has bought 3 backpack sprayers that sanitize all the buildings. We sanitize this room once a month or once a week before council meeting, of course. We do the courts, we do the PD, we do the fire stations, we do the police cars, the fire trucks, all city vehicles. Every Friday it's done. If there's an outbreak or somebody gets it, we go do it then as well. So we're going to get some more, a little bit higher scale sprayers. These are battery packed. The ones we have now are plug-in. We're looking at a standalone thermal cameras to scan people's temperature at the courthouse. We may put some here. We're looking at touchless doors, automatic doors for City Hall, council chambers, and police. So you just wave your hand and open, so we're not touching nothing. These are all expenses that are approved through the CARES Act. So we have $154,000 to spend. If we do not spend it, we must return it. So I hate returning cash. So where we'll spend it. So I just want the public to know that we are looking at things for not only our safety, but your safety. And we're going to start stockpiling some more gear. It's hard to find, as Lisa can tell you. She's in the business. It may take months before we get it, but at least we got to order it because there will be another spike, I feel, in the near future. Especially
And Danny, if you're going to order those backpack sprayers, I'd like to recommend that we order the true electrostatic sprayers, which are different than the battery operated.
Okay. Yeah. So Chief Johnson will get with you on that because I have no idea what you're talking about. So, but yeah, these are just some ideas that staff and I came up with last week for y'all. And Lisa, you're pretty knowledgeable in this stuff. You can give us some ideas, or anybody in the public that's in this line of work, please contact us. Call Chief Johnson and let him know he's kind of heading us up. Randall is handling all the clean supplies. He pretty much does that full time now. It's hard to find him, isn't it, Randall? So we're trying to buy a name brand because the last hand sanitizer we got, it should have been at the sewer plant, not hand sanitizer. But
Did it smell like a margarita?
All right, so,
way worse. So we just need to amend the budget.
so can we put that on consent to amend the budget to cover that 154 that we received? Everybody okay with that? I'm good with it. And then as an aside, since Danny's already presented that piece of his manager's report, can we give him also approval to spend the award amount for COVID-19 also on consent? Okay. Then also in your packet is the fireworks award contract for 2021. It's almost all the way in the back. It's right after the chamber presentation that's in the packet. So it is a $10,950, including the permit fees. We have to do $54.75, so half down.
This is a budget item. This is something we do every year. It's been around $10,500 ever since I started it back in 15, 14. So they really haven't went up, but we need to get pretty quick on their books. That's why we do it.
Everybody okay with consent?
Same company?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Jay Boland, you want to say something?
Yeah, so as y'all know, Councilman Bolin sent y'all an email. He has a work Zoom meeting, which his parent company is in California, so their meeting is right now as we speak. So he called me today around lunch and told me he couldn't make it, and he sent y'all a text message. So he apologizes for missing. But he has 2 items. Most of these are just really consent, I would ask. The SRO contract, the school resource officer, this is where the Walton County Board of Education pays $55,000 for 2 officers for the schools. We've been doing this for quite some time now. It's a great program, and I would ask for that to be put on the consent. I'm sure Jay would as well.
All right, that would be consent.
Mhm.
Good, good.
And since we have nothing else to do, I'm going to let Chief Johnson make his first.
Danny,
Yes.
where does this fall? We have a citizen's going to present a check to Chief McHugh.
That'll
Thursday
be on the
night?
presentations.
Okay.
On the
I just
council.
don't want that to be forgotten.
Yes. So why are you talking about? You want to talk about it before I can move on?
Melanie, would you like to talk about it?
Well, I've got 10 more light bulbs in here.
Go. Microphone. Melanie, hold on. You got to get on microphone so I don't get yelled at.
I've got 10 light bulbs left out of a case of 50. We've been raising money. People have been coming by my shop and dropping off contributions for the police and letters of encouragement. We'll still be collecting those right up until Thursday, and I'll be making that presentation of what I've collected to Chief McHugh for the police department to do as with whatever they want.
And this is something that you did on your own. You need,
Yeah,
get a
this
little.
is just, I was having a hard time finding a blue light bulb. I wanted people to support our police officers, and if they're out riding around, they're going down the road and they see you got a blue light on your porch, they know, hey, that's somebody that thinks well of me and supports me. I know the ladies up there, their subdivision, I think they did the ribbons on their mailboxes, but, we've got a great police force in this town, and I just want them to know they're loved. And since I had a hard time finding light bulbs, I bought a whole bunch of them, thought other people would be too, and I've given every bit of the money to the police department, so maybe they can have a dinner out or whatever they want to do with it.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be on the presentation for Thursday night. Chief Johnson, you'll come up here and briefly, real quick, it's like less than a minute, talk about your contract. Let him get some experience.
First of all, I can't talk for just a minute, so I apologize in advance. So this is just a revision to a contract that we currently already have. The fire department uses Vector Solutions for our scheduling console. And this is to, we were getting a training software called Target Solutions for free, and then they started charging. So it's just a revision in the contract to add the training platform with this. This is, with COVID and a lot of classes have not been readily available with large groups. So this allows the firemen to get their ISO required training at the station, web-based. So that's all it is just a revision to the current contract. It is a budgeted item through on the training line, 100, 3,500, 523, 700.
Is it a train the trainer or everybody takes the course?
It is everyone takes a course. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that'll be on the consent.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. All right, anything else under Jay?
The only thing I have is he's probably going to shoot me after his meeting, but Assistant Chief Lowry is back.
Back?
Yay.
Looking good?
So yes, he was out for 8 weeks. So not long enough. So welcome him back. So that's all I have for public safety.
All right. Thank you. Public Utilities / Transportation Chairman Bildeball.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looks like we have some contracts to renew for this year. First one is our missions communications. It's a supervisor control and data acquisition communication system for the pumps and treatment plants, I guess, to keep everything talking to each other. And It is a budgeted item, and do we need to add anything else to that, Chris? Is that good? It's good. Like to put that on consent? Is that? Good deal. The second contract is the Georgia Drinking Water contract. Well, basically, that test for chemicals and cryptosporidium and make sure our water's safe. They have to do it annually, and that is a budget line item as well.
Good. Any questions? No? Is that? Keep going.
Good. Sure. And there's another contract, which is water leak detection. I'd like to know how they do that. Another contract annually, and it is a state requirement. So, anything else to add, Chris?
The leak detection program, we're required to do with our water conservation plan and everything to do a yearly test on our system. So we've got our system broke down to do 20% a year. They currently come in, we schedule them to come in, they place helium into the water lines, and when they have sniffers, they call them, they go along the section of lines that they have placed the helium. The gas comes up through the ground if there's a leak that's not being identified through seeing the water source, and it pinpoints to where the gas is coming through, and it gives us a place to go and excavate to find the leak that's not being found. So that's that.
Thank you, Chris. So with that, consent? All righty. Then you all know we had some paving done at the Fire Station 16, and when the contractor got out there, and it's the driveway entrance back onto Tom Brewer, they got out there, they found that there was just asphalt laid on, not laid on a good base. So the contractor brought that to the city's attention, and Danny had to just go ahead and have that removed. I guess the city had them removed and put in some good base. So that was an increase of $8,504.24. So we had to get some rock and some more asphalt. Anything else, Danny?
No, this would be a Walton County SPOS project too,
Oh, yeah.
2019. But it was an emergency fix. It's already been done. It's just a formality. We had to have it down because it literally was just asphalt on top of dirt.
Is that under the public safety section of the SPOS?
No, it'd be transportation.
Transportation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, consent?
Consent.
Good deal. Moving along. If I can find my glasses here. All right, Danny, you might have to help me with this one too. So, go ahead. You want to talk about? Go ahead and talk about the restriping.
So this is a restriping started back. We were in the middle of the SDS for Walton County. This is one of the things that came out of it that the county agreed to do or paving, but they would not do restriping or milling. So you'll see milling next. But the restriping is a company that the county bid as a whole for Walton County, and we submitted some road miles to be restriped. Last couple of meetings we talked about Highway 20 here at CVS. We was going to restripe that. That was for the $12,000, but we didn't really discuss the rest of the city. We talked about it several meetings ago, but we just did not to exceed $100,000. But for some reason, I didn't put what fund it would come from. And one of the things for SPOS, when they audit us, it needs to show the fund, or it's considered a finding. And Natalie doesn't like that, so I decided to put it on the agenda for tonight. So this is a restriping. It's the yellow lines, what's called RPMs, the little reflective markers. I believe that's what their term is, RPM. Is that correct?
Race payment markers, yes.
Yes,
RPM.
thank you. So Chris has identified 2.3 miles, I believe it was, in the city that we'd restripe, and that cost came in at $35,346. I added a 10% contingency in case there was some section that really needed it, but this gives a little wiggle room. So I would ask that to be placed on consent, and that also would come out of the Walton County 2019 SPOS.
All right. Thank you.
Consent.
Consent. Good deal. So, and then Danny just mentioned that the next thing is the milling and patching, and it's number of streets listed: Ivy Court, Melanie Lane, Laurel Bay, Missionary Ridge, Bobby Boss, Baker Carter, and Baker Carter auxiliary lanes. This is for the milling and patching, but the paving is this the one with the paving? The asphalt's going to be done.
Yeah, so
separately?
way it works is, like I just said with the SDS, Walton County agreed to do the laying the asphalt. They have a crews that will lay it, but they don't have the milling or the patching, so that has been subbed out as well. So in order to do LMIG, we combined 2019-2020 LMIG to get more road, because last time we didn't have enough money to really do much to make it worthwhile, because there is a mobilization cost that we had to pay for all contractors. So we decided to lump them in 2 years to get a little bit more bang for the buck. So this is to grind it up, the bad spots, and then to lay asphalt back over it. And Walton County will do the work as far as the SDS agreement that we negotiated. And also, same thing, I put a 10% contingency, and that is $208,905.47. And they're ready to roll, I believe, as soon as we approve it. Correct? Oh, I forgot you was there. Thank you, Chris. And there's a certain time we can do that paving. It's we're getting right on the edge with the weather. So
consent.
No, I specifically asked never to have ozone. I'm just kidding. That's a little inside joke, y'all.
All right, thank you. Let's see, we've got a couple of pumps that we need to talk about. We've got a one digester motive pump. Chris or Danny, do you want to explain? So what the motive pump is for the aeration?
Yeah, the digester, is that where it chews it up, Chris, or is that the aerates it?
Motor pump is a digester. It serves two purposes. One, to circulate the tank, and also to help enhance the aeration of the tank. Right now, all we're getting in that tank, due to it's only a one pump tank, with the pump being out, it's only getting the aeration, which is not as efficient as it needs to be. So the cost of this pump to be repaired or replaced is, we're asking not to exceed $12,000.
And it is budgeted line item, so.
Chris, have you already done this? Did we do this under the emergency repair or no?
No, it just went out the end of last week for
So we can
evaluation.
do it in emergency. Does it need to be done now? Can it wait till Thursday? So I would ask to go ahead and do it now before Thursday. It's one of those things that it needs to be done on emergency repair, and we can ratify it Thursday at the meeting.
Sounds good.
Same thing with the next pump too as well.
But
So go ahead and get it tomorrow, Chris.
The pump is $14,000. Repair is one of our main pumps at the main pump station that comes into the plant. On a daily basis, we have to have two pumps running to keep the flow. If we get into real big storm events, the facility will call for the third pump to run. And currently, we're on two pumps only. We're good as long as we don't get into a high flow situation with a storm. And to get this, the mechanical seal went out on this pump, and so we was able to catch the repair early before it got into the windings, and also the repair for this main pump is $14,000 plus. So it is in our budget line for this year's budget to be able to cover it.
So same thing, emergency repair needs to get done tonight, and then we'll vote on it Thursday. Go ahead and both of them, Chris. Thank you.
All righty. So the last item is we wanted to have a discussion about a concept that was looked at. I mean, I guess it kind of started back in 2018. Was a Rock Road realignment there, 81, trying to prove that intersection. So there's a kind of a concept study not a concept study, but just a concept written up in our agenda notes. Basically, what Keckenwood looked at was trying to realign Rock Road, pull it back down and line up with Lee Bird. Now, improve safety. There's been a number of accidents there. Hard to turn, but if you go to Rock Road ties in, it's in the middle of a curve. So if we pull that down, it eliminates one of those intersections as well. It's not shown, if you looked at the diagram, it's not shown as closing off the end of Rock Road, but if we do that realignment, we would. So what we want to know is this, really want to know is, we think it's something we need to pursue, but what we could do is we could get Keckenwood to go ahead and, we'd go ahead and get Keck, right?
Mm-hmm.
To pursue an evaluation of the intersection, do a intersection control and evaluation of it to see what type of what type of intersection we best. We'd have to have it anyway if we proceeded. So right now their estimate is, their estimate including engineering, everything's like 1.45 million, 1.48 million. If we were to do that whole alignment, and we're not talking about that. We're just talking about if we do the intersection, that's for a signalized intersection. But if they go through this intersection control evaluation and it comes out to be, say, a roundabout, then it's likely probably going to be a little bit more than that. But we got to do a study just to see if it's feasible. What else do we want to talk about, Danny, on that?
Would you have we even talked to the owners for any land acquisition there? I guess the
Danny.
Birds on that, right?
Yes.
How many landowners is there?
One.
The Birds, right?
Yes, we have spoke to them. They actually, we were dealing with this 3 months ago when we met with the landowner. And then, as you know, her husband got sick and we kind of put it on the back burner. Well, I had a meeting with her last week for another issue, and she just said, well, why are you dragging your feet on this? And I said, well, I didn't want to come to you with this. You just lost your husband. So they want to do it. They're looking at developing this property. So it would give them another road frontage. The only thing this costs is not land acquisition because we haven't negotiated that. But this, when I spoke to Bill, this is more of is this something the council want to spend half of their SPOS money on? Is this a project that you want to pick? Because I definitely don't want to waste, $5,000 on this study, another $5,000 on this study for something you say, well, Danny, we didn't want that. We wanted to do this. We still have the red light on Highway 78 at Publix. We're still trying to negotiate. That's another $1.5 million easily. But I didn't want to give Sam as our city engineer, the marching orders to go study this without having a consensus from y'all. Is this something you want to see done? We know the traffic is coming from Lawrenceville going to 81. This is the most direct route. Yes, it's going to put more traffic on Lee Bird. Yes, this is a dangerous intersection at Lee Bird in 81 and Rock in 81. I've ran personally several fatalities in my career at the fire department there. Are there other intersections? Yes, but this is something I think that the state would support because we've talked to them really in an unofficial capacity, but this is something they could support. We just don't know if it's going to be a roundabout or a red light. Roundabouts are more money and more land. But that's something the ICE report will tell us. But
Would it be something, though? Like one or the other? If there would be some sort of traffic control, they wouldn't just tag those two roads together and just say good luck.
Right. No,
Right?
it would be.
yeah.
Okay.
But, it's going to have, there's a lot of moving parts. So state of Georgia, Walton County, and Gwinnett County DOT. Spoke with mostly Walton County. They support this, but they will have a new chairman coming next year. But the current chairman he supports this. It was discussed in our SPLOS back in 2018. It came before y'all as one of the 5 projects we could do for transportation. Doesn't mean we will do them. It just means this is something that we could do that would be a worthy transportation improvement.
What percentage did you say this would take up from the 2019
Well,
SPOS?
there's a little over, don't quote me, 3.8 million in transportation now. Does that sound right? And this is, just ballpark at 1.5 without a roundabout.
Do we want to wait to see what happens in November with the T-SPOS? to see if we,
Can.
if that, if that gets
yes,
passed?
it could, that
see
would
that.
qualify for this, but, we wouldn't get the money until another 4 years from then. So you're talking about 5 years from now before we would have the money to do it.
Oh, okay.
Because, we accrue this money every month, but, that 3.8 is over 6 years that we would collect.
Okay.
We may only have $1 million in there now. We spent some, just like tonight, we spent probably, 30, 40,000 out of it already. And we've already spent some money. But yes, so we can definitely wait. We can use those funds. It would qualify. But, the question is, do we want to wait until then or not? And that's why I wanted to come before y'all, because, I don't want to waste $5,000 on a study that council says we're not going to approve. That's $5,000 I could use somewhere else.
You mentioned the light at Publix. Does this interfere with that? Or does,
No,
got the money
that's
for
a
both?
totally different project. That's
Okay.
the two big projects we're looking at for the 3.8 million, and it could be 3.5. Don't quote me on that, but is the 78 and Publix intersection. That's a dangerous intersection as well. But the state denied us because they were going to do the one-way pairing, but now that's off the table. We went back. The property owner real estate arm has reached out to us for Publix because there's a lot of moving parts for that. They would lose all the right-ins from, or left-outs from Wendy's, Zaxby's. They would all lose all those, be forced to come to the red light. So that's, it's just not as simple as putting a red light. Never is.
Okay.
So, these things, like I told Ms. Bird, these things take years to do.
So basically between that project in Publix and
That's
the
your money.
Rock Road, that's gonna take up.
All your
that
transportation
2018
splost.
So that's.
And then the T-Splost passed,
And
that's
the
another
T-Splost,
$5 million.
So, okay.
These are that's why we're so dependent on these special funds, because without it, you're looking at the general fund, which,
Taxes.
right.
We don't wanna go
Yeah.
there. All right.
So that's, T-Splosh and Splosh, everybody pays for it that buys in Walton County versus people that live in the city limits of Loganville.
Can I support pursuing that study?
How long? Sorry.
If the mayor and council recalls, one thing that Danny and I have already done to try to start enhancing this intersection with Leesburg Road, the 21, fiscal year 21 of the CDBG grant that y'all approved for us to apply for, that we just put in, is a $1.5 million request grant that is going to start some of the improvements down the Leesburg Road portion of this roadway. So you have already in some ways started this project on the Leesburg Road side with the requesting of the CDBG funding. So good.
Yeah, so the CDBG, thank you, Chris, is going to start at Leesburg and 81, go to Bay Creek and Leesburg. And it's going to be part of sidewalks and widening and sewer upgrades as well. We've been, in the past, CDBG had been used on the Gwinnett side because that's where it comes from, but they have allowed us now to use it on the Walton side. So when Chris told me that, we started looking at this intersection.
So today you're just asking if we want to do the study.
I'm just saying this is a viable project, and if it is, yeah, it's going to take $5,000 to $10,000 just to do a feasible study.
And how long is the study good for?
The time it comes out. It's that's a DOT question. I'm not sure, but I would say at least 2 to 3 years. But depends on how much change. We're doing an ARC. We got that grant of almost $300,000, and it's going to do a study in the entire city, like a comprehensive transportation plan. Walton County got a similar from the ARC. So there's a lot of plans being designed because we hear, all the cities in the county here's what the citizens tell us is traffic, traffic, traffic. Well, traffic doesn't happen overnight to fix it. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time. So this is one of many steps we should do.
All right. So you want?
So I would ask, think about it Thursday, and if it's something you want us to do, just give me some orders to march, and I'll get some reports done.
Sure.
Some studies.
All right. That concludes what I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. Coming down to Public Works / Facilities Chairwoman Linda Dodd.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one item tonight. As you know, the city bought the property across the street. We still have one building over there that needs to be taken down. Randall will be in charge of doing that. It's going to cost around $10,000. We don't know yet, do we, if there's any asbestos or anything in there? We do know that. Okay.
It's in your packet.
Okay. Yeah. So the building's actually a hazard now. It needs to come down.
Yeah, so there's nothing here. There's no development being done on Main Street. This is simply a building that the fire department has went in, and firemen do what firefighters do what firefighters do. They tear up stuff. I'm one of them, so I can say it. Broke the windows, cut holes in the roof, cut holes in the wall. I'm scared of, school may be out, maybe in session. Kids are going to find something to do. I drove by it the other day. It's going to have an issue, I believe, with vandalism. Some of the properties that sit back in the city, they've already caught on fire. We just don't need to give anybody reason to tear more stuff up. So I asked Randall, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago to get me a price. So, it's a guess how many dumpsters it's going to take, but he, in his wisdom, said 4 to 5 dumpsters at $2,000 a dumpster. And it'll be just like 254 Main. It'll be flattened and reseed and straw and just be part of the future use of that land or wherever that may be.
So if nobody has a problem, can we put that on consent?
Consent? Good. All right.
And Mayor, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda Dodd. Human Resources Chairman Danny Ford.
Mayor, I've got one item. It is the invoice for our worker compensation self-insurance fund. It was an audit that they did, and the invoice come in at $12,172. Christie or Danny, is this about average for?
Well, this was an audit where they increased it, right, Chrissy? So, we have a standard bill, but every now and then they'll audit us. They'll look at salaries. If we hire more people, and then they determine, usually it goes up, and this is going up.
They estimate the bill come in, and then they come in and look at what our actual, it's based off our payroll. And they come in and look at the payroll, and then they adjust the premium. Last year it was reduced. This year it went up a little bit from what they had billed us.
Our workers' comp is around 200,000 citywide. Is that right? Roughly, annually 225. So this is an increase to that.
Sure. Consent? Consent. You got
That's it, sir.
Sir? And that's it. Thank you so much, Chairman Danny Ford. City Manager's Report, Danny Roberts.
Yes, so we've already put the approval to spend the 154 on consent. I went over the expense report. Does the public, or you all have any more questions about COVID and how we can answer them?
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
I am too.
Yeah. No.
Well, guess who's up?
As you see, I should get a raise I gave every one of y'all something to talk about tonight. So we should all get a raise, right, staff? So that hasn't happened too often, but you all have something to talk about. And the other thing I have is, I'm going to kind of jump over you real quick, and I'm going to hit Robbins because it goes with CARES. She has a resolution that we need to pass in order to get to 154. So that, to me, can it be a consent, Robin, or no? Okay. So we have a draft from GMA of their resolution. Robbins may tweak it and then give the mayor approval to sign that so we can be official with our money. Not to step on your toes, Robin. I know how you love to talk. I just say about 20.
Hey, Robin, is it ready for me to sign, or you want to wait till Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. You want to stay with Robin at the IGA?
Yeah, and we'll bounce back to the chamber.
We'll bounce back. Okay.
Yes, we had I think we want to table it.
We did. Oh, okay.
We have some things coming down the pipe, Chris. I think we're going to table it to next month until I talk to you more about it. And now we're going to jump. Any questions on the IGA? That's what it was, is to take some customers over from Walton County. More likely we're going to do it, but Chris, you going to still talk tonight, Chris? Yeah, you are.
Do you want to mention some, now that you talk about customers from Walton, do you just briefly want to tell the council about the meeting we had from Gwinnett's side? Brandon, about the customers from
Yeah,
about the
so
25-year
just let council
IGA
know that
from Gwinnett's side?
2011, well, let me back up. Gwinnett County has water and sewer. But on Loganville, they didn't have sewer at the time. Now they do. But at the time, Breckenridge and a few other subdivisions, so they were on our sewer, but Gwinnett County's water. Well, we have no way of cutting off your sewer. It flows if you flush the toilet. So you control sewer with water. So if you don't pay your water bill, you get your water turned off. Sewer wasn't that way. So we're losing tens of thousands of dollars every year for people not paying their sewer bill. So back in 2011, Bill Jones went before Gwinnett County and asked to take over their billing for them. So we bill them whatever Gwinnett County rates is. We don't go give any reductions for them because they're not our customers or Gwinnett's. We just bill. So if they don't pay their sewer bill, then we can go cut their water off. So that's called Route 16 IGA, which is Intergovernmental Agreement. That expires in 2021. It's a huge loss if we don't get it. So the mayor got with me and said, is there anything we need from Chairwoman Nash before she leaves office? I said, matter of fact, there is. We need to get the IGA done. So he arranged a meeting several weeks ago. Myself, the mayor, Chris, Brandon, we went and met with Miss Nash, county administrator, and the water director. And we left that with a 20-year agreement. So that's huge for people, whoever's going to replace me, so they don't have to worry about it. So we was able to get that deal. So hopefully that'll come before the council in the next couple of months from Gwinnett County. So yeah, that's what that's about. So any questions on that? So on this one is, there's 27 customers that are in our city, but they're Walton County customers from back in the day. Walton County used to buy water from the city of Loganville. Now we buy water from Walton County. So a lot of times when our main breaks on 78 and 81, our lines run parallel. Sometimes we may dig up the wrong line. It's happened more than once from both Walton County and us. So in order to take over their customers, we need to move them to our system, and then we would cut off the water lines for Walton County, or they would, not us. And then they would become our customers. So we'll more likely still do that. Chris has been meeting with Walton County. We met with the chairman Little and the water director 2 weeks ago, and they approved it. So I'll have this back on the September agenda. All right. I'll get you, Chris, in a second. We'll let this next one, Walton County Chamber. Terry's here, and I'm going to give you the real quick version. Terry will come up and douse you with her words. But there's a contract. It's done every year. It's renewed. This year it's up. We're typically paying 40 cents per person per capita. That's only for the Walton County residents, not the Gwinnett. So there's a formula in your packet that we pay a little over $4,000 some odd dollars. They are going to lose their home in a couple of years, and they need a new home to go to. But they also need money to pay for that new home. So she got with me about different ways if the city would sponsor them. They're going to all the businesses, all the governments. So I told Terry, I said, well, tell me what Monroe's going to do. So she went Monroe. Logan, the city manager there, came up with a good idea. I believe it was Logan's idea of raising the per capita for 3 to 4 years. And that would be our dedication to the chamber. So Terry did that in a new contract. And, you know, it can be anywhere from 40 cents to $1. I think we put in there, would like to see $1. That will be paid through the hotel motel fund, not the general fund. That's a liable expense. That's a cleaner version to do it that way versus just saying that we're going to write the chamber a $5,000 check. It's a cleaner way of doing it. They have not had an increase in quite some time, but we can limit to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever you want, and then it would go back to, I believe, 50 cents after the, I believe, 4 years. So it helps them get a place to go. I believe most cities in the county will do something. We're just the first ones to come, I believe, to the council meeting. I guess you'll get Monroe next month. I'm not sure, but so Terry will talk about that, answer your questions about the contract, and Then I'll get Chris up and then we can go home. I mean, yeah, we can add consent or you can talk about it.
Okay, so Danny basically gave you the gist of what's going on. So the building that we're currently in, we're in there with the Development Authority. It's owned by the Walton County Board of Commissioners. In the last SPLOST that was passed, everybody who votes in Walton County voted for that building to be leveled and for them to build a new building there to house their human resources and finance for the county. They need more room at the government building for courts because courts are so backed up, although through COVID they haven't been able to hold much court. But so that was the whole gist of why they needed to move those two offices out of the government building to free up room there. So that was voted on in the last SPLOST to do that. So we've known that, it was going to be coming. Well, we've had some plumbing issues in the building. There's cast iron pipes and a slab. So obviously nobody wants to spend money to fix the plumbing when the plans are to tear the building down. So we're just sort of buying our time. We don't really know when the full plumbing will go out. We have a couple of unusable restrooms now, but so anyway, so that's kind of the why now, because obviously we would not plan on doing a capital campaign or launching a capital campaign in the middle of COVID or a pandemic. That would not be an ideal timing thing. The Development Authority has purchased a building. It's not big enough to house both entities. So second reason why we didn't really have a choice but to look for a place that would house the chamber. So an organization you may not know about, we also manage what's called Walton Forward. That is our education foundation. So it is actually a 501c3 organization, and that's what we run all of our education programs through. The chamber manages that program as well as, obviously, the chamber. So we have found a building that was recently renovated. It's actually 2 buildings around the corner from where the Development Authority will be, which is, kind of randomly happened. And we've approached the Walton Foundation, which is a nonprofit charitable organization in town or in the county. They have agreed to purchase the building for us and lease purchase it back to us to buy it back within 5 years to give us time to raise funds to buy the building. Obviously, the building's not going to be there. If they didn't make that offer to us, the building, wouldn't be there. So that's sort of where we are. So we're sort of in a fundraising mode of trying to raise funds to purchase the building back. The building price is $325. In the campaign packet, we show $350, but that does include the parking lot needs resurfacing, and y'all just saw some of those kind of prices are super expensive, and it needs striping as well. But in the packet here, you've got the actual budget for the whole campaign. There's some program enhancements, technology, and equipment for the building, because obviously we'll be splitting everything in our current building, because about half of it's owned by the chamber, about half of it's owned by the Development Authority. So there'll be some purchases that, we'll have to make. There'll be purchases they'll have to make separate from the things that we share currently. So one of the other things that I want to do in the plan is set up kiosks in each of the city halls that include our membership information, our magazines, maps. I just think that is a good plus. We have members, businesses call us all the time. They want to get membership information. Some will go to the website. Some want to get some paper in hand. They don't want to go to the website. And so rather than have to drive to Monroe, it'd be great to have a kiosk right here that can just come grab some information from City Hall. So that is something that we would also like to do. Currently, we have 5 of our elected board members that represent Loganville businesses, 5 out of 15. Renee Park with Tap Plumbing, Ned Butler with Reliant Homes, Amy Elliott at BB&T, Tammy Baker with ProTech, and Kevin Burrell with Burrell Roofing. And of course, the mayor serves on our board as well. So I cannot be here Thursday night, but one of them said they could be here if y'all need them. Here I have Leadership Walton Retreat this week. So I'll be leaving tomorrow afternoon. going up to Dahlonega for the Leadership Walton Retreat. But just so you understand the chamber's budget too, just a little bit. So 8% of our funding comes from government. So between cities and the county, the 40 cents per capita, that's only 8% of our budget. All the rest of the funds we have to raise through memberships and events and meetings. So we don't have, like a source of funding like a lot of entities do. We do have 755 members currently. We, will obviously continue to do all the promotions that we do for your events in Loganville, including Loganville schools and all of our education programs and all of that kind of stuff. Y'all know. I think y'all all are familiar with a lot of our programs and what we do. So again, this was Logan's idea to come up with just an addition to the current contract versus just trying to randomly come up with some number. Behind the capital campaign brochure to the left, if Danny didn't send y'all this, it does have like the current Exhibit A to the contract, which is the per capita numbers. And then it also shows if y'all did go up to the dollar amount per capita, what that difference would be over a 3-year period and what would be over a 4-year period. Okay.
Is it directed giving so that if we did $1, that whole 60 cents goes to buy the building, or does it just go in the budget?
No, the 60 cents would go toward the capital campaign and the 40 cents would go in the budget.
Okay, so it'd go directly to the building?
Yes.
Okay.
Is the per capita going to stay 10,089, or is it going to go up at 20 when 2020 census comes up?
We base the numbers on Georgia Power, but that's a good question. So, I think the council could stay set at the 2019 population if y'all decided to do, a 3 to 4 year agreement. I think y'all could set it at the current population rates and it not go up. I don't know. That might be an attorney question. I don't really know. Mayor Martinez asked if the population numbers would go up as as Loganville's population grew each year over the next 3 or 4 years if they went into a 3 or 4 year agreement. But I said I'm assuming you could set it to be set by the 2019 population numbers if you did a 3 to 4 year agreement.
Okay. So you was 100%, $100, I'm sorry. Okay. Any comments, Lisa?
I'm good.
Bill, you go with $1? Yes, sir. $1? Me too.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Now make sure.
Now I can put it on the consent agenda.
My only request is make sure that Monroe gives $1.
That's right.
And Social Circle gives $1, and Walton County gives $1, right?
You'll put the city of Logan on their building.
How about
Y'all
that?
would definitely be on the big plaque in the conference room for sure.
And just keep us at number 1. Always come to us first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got a Monroe City Council tomorrow night. So I'll let y'all know. Yes.
And I'm going to call John Howard after this meeting. I said, we just gave her $1.
Yeah.
We gave $3.
Is that good, ma'am? You good? All right.
Thank you.
For how long again? For 3 years. Okay. Got it. And consent, I'm assuming? Consent. Okay.
So Mayor, I need to back up and punt. So Robin, we are going to put the IGA on Thursday night because there's some other issues that Chris needs to approve now rather than later. It ties with the Walton County, the Monroe water line. So can you have that Thursday, the IGA?
Yes, I'll get you all a draft by email either tomorrow or Wednesday so that you'll have an opportunity to review it before Thursday.
Hey, Terry, can you
Sorry
have,
about that.
is Renee coming back on Thursday? And Amy, just in case? Okay. So we'll make it official. All right. Danny?
So yes, like I said, any question on the IGA? Y'all discuss that, what it is, what it's about, or you're good with it? Well, yes, you'll be voting on giving mayor approval to approve the IGA to take over those 27 customers. And there will be some expense with that, but we don't know that at this time because we got to transfer those customers to our system. And it will be at our current rate, which I believe is less than what they're paying in Walton County. So they'll get a smaller bill. With that, I'm going to let Chris come up here and address y'all, and I think I'll be quiet for the rest of the night, unless y'all have anything
All right.
else.
We're going to have some of these. Anybody want, before Chris comes up?
All right, preacher.
Yeah.
I do. I'll take one.
Tonight's probably going to be one of the hardest times that I've ever had to stand before you, mayor, and council. I take Loganville very compassionate because I was raised here in Loganville. My parents moved here in 1968, and I've been blessed and fortunate to be able to come to Loganville and make the biggest part of my career of 23 plus years. However, I met with Mr. Roberts this week because end of last week, and I'm here tonight to inform you that I've given my resignation to the city to go and accept another job offer that I've been given. But I can truly say tonight with all confidence and that in my 23 years of serving as director over utilities for the city of Loganville, I've got a lot of good memories. We've had some bumpy roads. We've fought some battles, but we've won, because I can truly say in 23 years, I'll never forget a conversation that I was involved in when Bill Jones was city manager and Ray Nunley was the mayor. And he come in to Bill's office. Actually, he was a councilman. And he looked at me and he told me, he said, "You've got one job to do here at Loganville." And he said, "That's to make Loganville be the best water system in Walton County." And I can say today that you can go search the record, and today Loganville is the only city in Walton County and the county also with a water system that is recognized by the state of Georgia as a water first community. And I can truly say today, I feel that with my departure that I am leaving Loganville in a lot better standing, in a lot better shape than it was when I came here. I feel like with the directions that the city has took and the guidance that you have given me over the years to try to go and achieve the task, the decisions that have been made by the city has allowed us to work hard to make the water system in the city not only a success for today, but it will take Loganville far into the future. And with that being said, I'm not going to linger because it's but I thank you. And I've given Mr. Roberts a commitment that I will help him see these projects through that we got going. And I will do what it takes to see that it's done to the end. And again, I thank y'all for y'all's support. And if I can ever do anything to help the city in any way, please know I'll be available at your call. So, thank you.
See, the hits for 2020 keep coming for me. I tell you what.
What's that?
The hits for 2020 keep coming. That was a hard one for me last week. Told you not to cry. You about got me to cry. So I just want to clear that there's nothing Chris done wrong. I mean, when I became city manager, he told me, he's like, I only got like a year before I retire. And I was like, well, I know you got 7 years because that's when I can retire. And he goes, no, I'm going to retire. So he's eligible for retirement. So he was made an offer. He didn't go look for a job. I want you all to know that. He didn't go look for a job. He's not unhappy. But he was offered a job he couldn't refuse. And I can't blame him. I told him, I said, Chris, if I was you, I'd take it. But I told him back in 2017, I said, you better start training your replacement. Because nothing against any other department head, that is the most complex department in the entire city. Next to finance, that's what takes most of my time. And so he's been training Brandon for what, year and a half now? How long? Brandon, Brandon is under good guidance from Chris, and Chris has gave him his word that Brandon, all he's got to do is call him. So that reassured me a lot because it's a huge task to fill Chris, to replace Chris. Almost as hard to replace me, y'all, but not quite. So he hasn't done anything wrong. He's going to make a lot more money than Logan will pay him, and plus he gets his retirement. So like he said, he goes, Danny, I can take my retirement and I can guarantee my grandkids a college education. I said, Chris, best luck to you. So he's giving us 30 days, and we got a lot to do in 30 days. So he's the next to Terry Malcolm, the longest serving employee, Christy, is that right? Next. Continuous, yes. So it's going to be a harder one.
I'm right there with him.
Yeah, 1 year behind him. So, but yeah.
Well, I told Danny the other day when he told me that Brandon has my support, and I would expect the whole council to fall behind Brandon, and you got our back, my friend. We got your support. So
he's no shoe, and he's going to have to go through me first, though. So, he's got some good. He had a good teacher, so
yeah.
Well, and Chris, I'd like to say, I'm sure all of us thank you for your service and best of luck in greener pastures. We know you'll do well.
So yeah, didn't want y'all to read the papers tomorrow and see it. So without him telling y'all first, so I believe his new employer will announce tomorrow. Is that correct? So. You can all find out tomorrow because I will not tell you unless Chris wants to tell you. So, but anyway, Chris, you may not be on my payroll anymore. Well, you will for retirement, but you're still a phone call away. So,
thanks again, Chris. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. An hour and 45 minutes, and we got a lot done today. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, but come back on Thursday. We got a public recognition for public safety, and we got another recognition for public safety. So we got 2 recognitions for public safety. So come back on Thursday, 6:30. With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. We got
Second.
a motion. We have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.